Canada going straight to hell. Unbelievable speech by Charles. I just watched it. Going on my lunch break here. Going to hit the gym tonight, do a major live where I'm going to be there for the game, doing a big marathon for that. And this is so bad, Canadians, so bad that our Constitution is on its end, as it always has been anyway. From the preliminary 1867 till today, nothing has changed. Prime Minister Mark Carney hands over the country to Charles in gross violation of the Amendment 1982, our last major amendment. That should concern every Canadian, because if you didn't learn in COVID that the Charter is basically butt wipe, you absolutely should know now, because Charles, in the Parliament, giving the throne speech, giving it to all of you, and I mean giving it to you, it opens up and he gives a big tribute to the first peoples in Canada that come to you from unceded land, which is American Webster's for Indian War Territory. Now, Charles hopes at some point since 1867 till today, where he sits on his golden throne and you got Indian chiefs all around making the money, right? Not for their people, of course, but they're making the money. And along with them, they're not the only pieces of shit there. Right beside them in dress up too. They weren't the only ones in dress up. We had the Supreme Court of Canada out front and center. Look at us in our Santa Claus uniforms for good old Charles. A fused judiciary. Fuck America, right? Look, who needs an independent judiciary? Why would subjects ever need that? It's a fused judiciary with the executive. Come on, people. Where you been? Do you ever see the Supreme Court of the United States assembled like that, where they're all like little kids in their dressed up uniforms? Gather around, children. Charles is here to tell you how it is. Let's start with the savage at-war Indians that we murder at will, right? Let's start there. It's all good. Look at my golden throne. Who cares about the people on their reserve? Keep holding out for old Charlie boy. They're going to deliver you, don't worry. Then he goes on to tell all Canadians how you can expect great things from the new 15-minute City Canada with Canadian lumber, Canadian labor, Canadian everything except for Canadian land. You don't get any of that. No. They're going to modular and stack up on top. You're going to get used to your new, largely financed, affordable living that nobody can afford. Nobody can afford. And it's going to be all the same, just like communism. It's already starting like that for Canadians anyway. Liberals have been well into it. Conservatives before that. This major transition. For folks who don't get it, look at houses in the 70s and 80s. Look at neighborhoods of today. All same color, all the same modular design. No individuality, none whatsoever. Because Canadians really shouldn't have single unit dwellings. You shouldn't have your own identity, because there's only one national identity, and that's called subject, or worse, Indian Reserve Savage. Those are your identifications, because if you're not Crown, you're not included. If others didn't get it, if you carefully listen to Charles as he goes through all his normal bullshit that Americans can't stand, Americans would never tolerate in a million years. Any American watching that throne speech would be like, stability, forever and a day, this is great. Any American Indian, any American real one watching that would be like, wow, that's not for us. And the words, right? Not 1 ounce of any land mentioned for any First Peoples or any Canadians, none whatsoever. Because again, you're not included in this new order of Canada that Carney, under the tutelage of Charles and his wife, who now have ripped up 1982, They're in Parliament now. They open up Parliament, meaning the entirety of 1982, its inception, that amendment, that major amendment to our Constitution, where Charles said we got independence. Yet, Charles, your mother wasn't even allowed to come to Parliament after that. Why are you here? Why are you doing a throne speech when the whole premise of 1982, the big part of it, before even the charter rollout, is that you won't be there, that you signed off of all that. But here you are saying, everything's changed again, you know. It's largely a ceremonial constitution that applies when we need it to, applies when we don't need it to. It does what we want when we want it to do. It's very, very great for us, not for you. That's basically what Charles tells you. You could hear it in the French. I heard Radio de Canada, and that was in the CBC. That wasn't in the English. There was a lot. Nunavut got mentioned, and Quebec, I heard in French from the English. Those were not in each other's speeches. That's the double speak, the double cross, typical Crown, the throne speech, riddled with it. Key sentences that were not in the English, presented in French, and I don't speak fluent French, so there was a number of things that were presented there that were not presented in the English, which is always how it is in Canada, and that's how they divide everybody. You're getting 3 different talks to 3 different groups of people, all bullshit, but you can see through it, and it's awful. It's awful. Charles is disgusting. Canada's disgusting. We didn't show anything to Donald Trump or any American, any true red-blooded American watching that, or even American Indian watching that, will go pathetic. Pathetic. Where are their lands? Where's their self-determination? Where's their self-government? Where's the settlement of the claims? Where's the release of Crown lands for both First Peoples and all categories? He couldn't even distinguish named and numbered Indians. First Nations, didn't want to get into that. And then he goes into the 3 different lands, like named and numbered somehow translate into an overlap of Métis in the same provincial and regional boundaries. He goes on to say how at the national level, we're going to take all these projects on, work with First Peoples and just get them done, and they're going to be reduced without any plan forward. Of course, that's Carnegie bullshit. And there is no path forward. You can't have all of these groups overlapped, giving each of them supposed powers that you pull away at will and then say, oh, don't worry, we're going to work through it, like we've never, ever done ever before since 1867, because the system is designed not to. He doesn't address any of that. Just says magically it's all going to happen. Trust him, he's Charles, as you got all the senators in dress up, Supreme Court Santa Clauses in dress up, Parliament in dress up, all standing there. We love you, Charles. Yes, tell everybody how it is. Let's make believe a country, and let's show America. I can tell you, under Webster's, any American or even American Indian, I'm that confident, who watches that, listens through it, is going to be shaking their heads and say, you Canadians are stupid, ignorant, and cuckolds. And so are the First Peoples. If you believe any of that horse shit, you're a cuckold. It's all stated there clearly by Charles. The worst is when he went into Vimy Ridge and Dieppe. That's World War I. That was Canadians sacrificed for First Peoples when he was relating that to you, as he didn't even kept a straight face, as he's pretty much brutalizing you, laughing at you. And I hate to say these words for Americans watching, but for African Americans, I use these words because this is the truth. You just had Memorial Day yesterday, and I have to do this. I guess I'll have to go back 18 plus. But this is all about the sickness of Charles. Not me, not my words, not my actions or my deeds, But what Charles basically said there when he used Vimy Ridge, which was all about taking German assets from the niggers of Africa, I'm serious here now, and handing them over to the French crown so that they could have their niggers unto them. And that would go on like that until World War II, where the same colonial powers are still fighting for subjugation and savage class peoples. No different than the Canadian First Peoples, who've been run through the mill a hell of a lot longer than all classes of races of people in our history of these empires. These people concurrently are running the longest, even outpacing Africa. Not entirely, but a heck of a lot of it now. And they're still trapped that way. I mean, there are 5 groups in Africa still largely in the same problem out of the 52 that aren't. But for First Peoples in Canada, it's all the way through and still running today. And he articulated that all with a straight face in real terminology, basically going fuck you to Canadians and fuck you to First Peoples. Said, you're nothing but niggers to them. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry to say that for African Americans. And I know a lot of people look and go, how dare you? But it's not how dare me, it's how dare they. Because that's what they articulated. And when you look at Vimy Ridge and you look at Dieppe out of World War II, that was the largest sacrifice, needless sacrifice. Entire towns of Eastern Canada, Atlantic Canadians wiped right out, all the men. For what? For the glory of the crown, to see, would that work? If we organized something well for the British, would it work? And if you think it's only Canadians, it was done to Americans too. And for these empires, not just the British who used the Americans. And I can show you a discovery, and I can go through that, a discovery in PBS where I show you the vessel where all those Americans died, where to this day, generations of Americans wonder what happened to their loved ones in World War II. And I show you that they were sacrificed so a handful of crown officers would have lots and lots of time, no harm on their head, wouldn't even put themselves at risk, even though it was American troops sent in the Plenty to free those who had been taken by Germany, were wiped out. And their response was, oh well, let the Americans die who are freeing us, because we can't even free ourselves. And this is British. This is all the crown. That's what it is. An evil disease. America knows very well. Americans are trained in civics. American Indians have civics against all this. And yet Canadians and First Peoples, you're blindly roped into it. He gives you a speech where he's calling you and cucking you and reverting you to the worst of humanity and laughing at you in a straight face and presenting, saying, well, I told you straight in my double speak words, in my double cross. I told it to you. It's not my fault you're too stupid to know any better. I told you. I'm Charles, straight-faced. And the whole Parliament got up and clapped. From your Prime Minister to the Liberals to the Conservatives to the Senate to the Judiciary, fused into one against all of us. And those chiefs were there in just as bad dress-up as the clearly Supreme Court of Canada, and absolutely all of your Senate, your Crown Governor Generals, Lieutenant Governors, all there, your premiers. We just love it. Kill the Canadian, kill the Indian. Yeah. And then they brag about immigration. A glorious immigration that's given a dynamite economy. Who's the dynamite economy for that Charles referring to? Is it me? Is it you? I can tell you, any millennial or Z generation, it certainly isn't you. And I don't have to tell any of them. It's all for the crown and those they convince to sacrifice their own children and grandchildren. That's how it works. Talks about the beautiful financial system. And don't worry, the Crown will finance all of you filthy subjects and dirty savages. They will finance you. You will borrow against your own children for shittier and shittier accommodations. You will be like Hong Kong. You will be in those coffin cities. You will willingly do it. Will they keep a vast amount of land for themselves, the best of the best, for all of them and their friends as they compound wealth at an extraordinary rate. Your Canada, the strong-armed, and it's also the place free to pillage, rape, pillage, plunder. And that's what Charles says. Absolutely, in his double cross and double speak. And anyone who can't read that or see that or gain anything of that other than that being the truth, you're a mental. And anyone who wants to go forward in this Canada, you're fucking mental. If you haven't read the entirety of 1982, that motherfucker had no business in the Parliament today. That was an undoing. With your Central Supreme Court of Canada in full Santa Claus dress up going, oh, I just love how we threw away the Constitution. We ripped up the 1982 Amendment. All of its inception gone. We're the Supreme Court, fused with the executive, and Charles tells us goodbye. That means Canadians and First Peoples. All of your Aboriginal rights, all of your charter rights, like we knew in COVID, and all First Peoples should know all the way through Mohawk history, numbered and unceded history. None of it applies. Those Aboriginal rights, which is such a kick in the face in title and meaning to begin with, but all of that is undone. It's a lie, a gross lie, and it's us together who need to be the boat and the canoe, equal. Us, the people, the Indian people and the Canadian people, and do what our southern neighbors did 250 years ago already. 1776. That's what we need to do. We need to do it together. I don't even know you have to do it in a violent revolution. I think if we all got together and just said fuck it and went south to the border together, leave the Crown behind. That means the chief system, the Parliament, the legislatures, all of it. Leave the politicians, and everyone got up and we went to the border and said, and we had a protest saying we want to be 51. That's how it would be. And you would see everything that became of the States would be coming here. And that's what we need to do. If anything was said today, it was said to America, this is a loser country. This is a pure autocratic dictatorship. It is the electoral autocracy that American academia called it. It's there. How can you have an amendment, a major amendment like 1982, and just throw it out the window? Go look at the last time Queen Elizabeth was here, 1979. Last time she ever addressed Parliament. Why? 1982 ended all that. Supposedly, repatriation. He even goes into that. But yet he's the one giving the speech and doing that. Like, there's the... What repatriation, buddy? What do you mean independence? Independence from what? Your stability, your reign, your monarchy, your caste system? Come on. It's all double speak, double cross. Americans have known this forever and a day, and they made a country and a constitution to make that never possible ever again. And we need to do that. All First People, all Canadians and First Peoples have to have the stop of the hate of each other and start pushing it forward to where it belongs. It belongs at the Crown. And yes, that's a corrupt chief system. It's corrupt legislatures, premiers, parliaments, senates, all Crown positions in all courts, at least that of supreme and superiors. All of them. They showed you it today. It was all on full display. And again, they couldn't even give a French and English speech one after another. They had to change serious words and add different sentences and even different topics. That is not a transparent or actual throne speech. That's a double cross, double speak. You're speaking to one set of Canadians, you're speaking to another. It's wrong. They talk about unity. What unity when the speech is divisive? Because it's two speeches to two different groups of people, dividing Canada again, because that's what they do. Subdivide. Double cross, double speak. You can look at the fathers of Confederation USA. They knew all this. They knew how to get rid of it because they were done with it. And it wasn't just done overnight. The War of Independence wasn't done overnight. It took Americans as British subjects plotting and planning for more than 150 years before the War of Independence. It starts in the 1620s for those 13 colonies. They were already well on their way. Did you notice how in the history of the 13 colonies, that 150 years is all about protecting firearms, your rights? Charles goes right into that on behalf of Carney, how we're going to model it after Britain. Goodbye to all your firearms. Any charges, anything. So if you get accused of something and you're under release conditions, there goes your firearms. Any kind of spousal, there goes firearms. What does any of that have to do with firearms? It's called monopoly of force. They want you under monopoly of force, which means you're not a human being. You're a child under the superiority of a divine crown. This is the number one difference, absolutely, between what an American is and what a Canadian is. Canadians need a mummy and daddy, a superior human being, to rule over you. You can't rule yourself, or you can't be responsible or accountable for yourself or your own actions, or take that. Apparently, so the Crown says. That starts the monopoly of force. You're not entitled to property. You're not entitled to protect any property because it's not yours anyway. You aren't really a human being. You're definitely not a citizen. You're a subject. And it starts right there. That was the first thing in the ordinances, the father of Confederation, 1630. That's the father of Americanism and everything that's an American citizen, we the people. It started with no to monopoly of force. That was 1630, Connecticut ordinances. We're not doing that anymore. That's the truth. 150 years nearly before the War of Independence. So things don't happen overnight, but Canadians, this whole day, this whole presentation was to tell you that we're royally screwed, that our country put on stage is not independent, not sovereign. You're not real people. You definitely don't have any sovereignty. You have masters, lords, divine human beings that you allow in a place of worship where you're worshiping them. If you're voting Liberal and Conservative, NDP, Bloc, Green, or any of it, United Conservative Party, Saskatchewan Party, PCs of Ontario, doesn't matter, CAC, Quebec, it doesn't matter what party, provincially, federally. If you're participating in that, you are in the idea of worshiping a cult. You're participating in a cult. And if you didn't get that today, you're a lost, sick puppy. And this country is royally screwed. And you can get used to owning nothing and being happy forever. You can get used to all of the European NGOs. This is WEF, WHO, WB, it goes on and on and on. International Migrant Organization, International Maritime Organization. There's so many. There's 28 that absolutely are all about your subjugation, your slavery, removing you from any property, you from any real humanity, and you will be a serf on the Lord's land. And when I say Lord, I mean a divine human being that you worship. Not God, not Jesus. You can take all that and throw it out the window. You might as well rip the pages out of your Bible if you have one. Because if you're going to church on Sunday and you still believe in this system in Canada, you're not following Jesus. You're following the other way. You're following the other way. You're breaching the 10 Commandments. You're not following anything. And any religion you're following that tells you, oh, no, it's okay. So if Muslims are telling you, oh, no, the crown is great. Or Catholics are like, oh, no, it's all good. It's great. Don't worry, just follow it. They're not following the Bible, and they're certainly not following any teachings thereof. And this is Old Testament, New Testament, goes way beyond Jesus. It gets right into Judaism. It gets into the whole Muslim faith, and these mainstream religions can't deny that. It's already been written about and told not to do's. Laws of God, first constitutions by the one true God that's shared amongst many religions. And if you're doing that and you're participating in that, you're what's sick and you're what's wrong. I've seen enough of Canada today. It's really scary. We need to get out of this. We need to start working this. We need to really educate Canadians in a large way. I would love to do a professional video and animation, something that would really sell with actors. I'd love to get on that as a project. Showcasing what the Crown is doing, the lack of land in Canada, something, and I don't know how we're going to do that, but I'm really going to target that going forward, because I think that needs to be done. Because you can scream on a pulpit, but it's never enough, and I've been doing it for years. We need some of those professional videos. I would love to be a part of that production, at least in the narrative of truth, that you can back by sources and showcase. This isn't just for Canadians, but it's to wake up all Americans to this real threat that's their northern neighbor. They talk about drones, control, and the borders and the control on Canadians. Charles, that should be scary too. Violating all our rights, holding us by force. First Peoples too. If you don't see that out of Charles' mouth, I don't know what to tell you. It's cultish. It's scary. It means a world hurt for all of us. And I don't know. It's sad. It's sick. I knew this was going to come, but he's just so bold and brazen. You can see it in his straight face because he believes it. He was raised that way. And it was sad to see our entire governmental system participate that way, knowing full well, the Supreme Court, knowing full well that they can't be trusted with even an amendment, that they would sell their souls to literally the devil. They're Satanists in the true sense of the word. And I hate to go biblical like that, but that really is that. Completely opposite of the American independent judiciary. It doesn't matter whether it's originalist or interpretive. There is no justice in America that would participate that way in front of someone like Charles, breaching the Constitution or any amendment. It wouldn't matter. They wouldn't participate. It's sick, deranged, sad, and it's terrifyingly scary. That's my video, everybody. Share. Get it out there. We'll see you tonight as I do a major treadmill. Okay, bye now.